All right, testing. All right, I think that's working. Hello. I will absolutely not VTube. That's never going to happen. Well, no, that's a lie. If you pay me enough, I will VTube. Or, I don't know, Ferry VTube is going to cost like a couple grand at minimum. I think we're just waiting for a few more people to pile in, and then we can get started. I don't think Fluff makes enough money, honestly. I need way more than he'd make to make me do that. Soz. Okay, well, it's 8 o'clock, so we're just going to get started. Now, a bit of a disclaimer with this one here. There were a lot of changes, and I mean like a lot of changes to this guide very recently. I spent pretty much all morning like redoing the whole damn thing. There's going to be some weird formatting. Some slides are going to be smaller than others. I don't know why, but some of the numbers have just turned into weird like alt characters, but it is what it is, okay? We're just going to deal with it. So let's just get on to the first slide. Oh yeah, another disclaimer as well is a lot of the stuff that we're going to be covering is not confirmed yet. So Mythic Zeros, L'Oreal believes that they're going to be out sooner than what's actually on the beta, that sort of stuff. So we could end up getting like Mythic Zeros in just after like early access, but might not be the case. Not 100% sure exactly what's going on there, but you know, obviously if it is out, we're going to do the content. We're just going to do whatever content's available at the time. Raid Renown existence is currently unconfirmed, and everything is subject to change. By the time we actually get to Friday, all of this could have changed again, but if it does, we'll do our best to keep you guys updated. Okay, so what we're doing during the early access, obviously leveling our characters and preparing for Mythic Zeros is going to be the big thing. Leveling up the prey system as well. If we are able to level it up, then obviously we're going to level it up. Now, number 3 here, minimize side quests. This is going to be the one thing that I'm going to give you guys a green pass on. Okay, if you want to go do all your side quests, go do Sojourner, everything like that, feel free to just go and do it. You don't have to wait till Sunday for the Darkmoon Fair to drop to get your 10% buff, right? Just to, you know, get some champion gear just a little bit quicker. We should still have it by the time we need it, even without the Darkmoon Fair buff, so it should be fine. Just, you know, play the game the way you want to play it on launch. Don't stress too much about that part of the guide. Okay, so the catalyst changes for going into midnight. When we get our 4 set, guess what? All content can now drop catalyst charges. No waiting, whatever it is, 2 weeks to get your next catalyst charge. So you basically just do any content they drop. And what this means is we are going to be rating LFR early on. Yay! Who doesn't love LFR? So we're going to be doing that early on, and we're going to be trying to get as many 4 sets as we can, as quickly as we can. And yes, for Team Primal, this does mean LFR splits, so that's good. Obviously, you have this why this matters section. Don't worry about that, okay? I just explained why it mattered. Renown rewards. So we have new champion item level gear. And to give some context, the champion gear, if it is like it is on the beta, is going to be very, very hard to get. Actually, it's going to be like the only way to get champion gear. From the, what I did on the beta, the only thing that was available was adventurer gear that got to 2 out of 6. And that's pretty much it. So the champion gear that we get here early on is going to give us like a pretty good head start. So making sure that we're getting our renowns up to the required level to actually unlock that renown reward. Prey system, new system that's sharing a reward structure similar to Delves. There is some potential to get champion track items from the Nightmare Prey difficulty. Don't know if that's going to be out in the first 2 weeks. If it's not, it might just end up being useless, but we'll see. For those who don't know what the Prey system is, it's basically just like a bounty reward system, essentially. All right, crest changes. So 20 crests per rank now. It used to be like 150 to upgrade it to full. They've changed that. 20 flat across the board, so only 100 crests to actually fully like upgrade a piece. Obviously, the weekly cap has also gone up to 100 as well, and crafting only costs 80 crests. Now, before, there was like a big emphasis on crafting your weapon because it was so much cheaper. Obviously, it's still a bit cheaper, but that may necessarily not be the case anymore. Probably best to like chase your BIS weapon instead now, but check your class discords to see what they're doing, because that's where you're going to get the best information for all this sort of stuff. Okay, your class discords are all linked in the class channels. Okay, they're pinned, so if you don't know where it is, that's where it is. Champion track reduction. So basically what this was referring to is the fact that champion gear is going to be weaker going into midnight. And it's not really going to be something that we can use in the mythic raids because of that. So just keeping that in mind is like, it's going to be really, really important to get out of champion track as soon as possible. Okay. Hero track. So a couple things with hero track now. What we want to do before if say we get a 1 out of 6 mythic piece, right, and we have a, like, I don't know, 5 out of 6 heroic piece that's like the same, in the same slot. What we want to do is we want to upgrade that fully to 6 out of 6. And what that is going to allow us to do is then upgrade that myth track to 2 out of 6. Because 6 out of 6 hero track is equivalent to 2 out of 6 myth track. So basically, we're just getting a free upgrade on that myth track, just saving a bit of crests. A lot of this with crests is just like managing them like efficiently, because, we're not going to be getting as many, and it costs, well, we get a little bit more, but, it costs a lot more to like fully upgrade the gear now. The other thing is the hero track is also going to be a significant power boost over the champion gear. So it's going to be stronger, like you're going to be stronger going from champion track to heroic track than you are going to be going from like heroic track to myth track. The power spike is larger. So just keep that in mind. Like another thing why getting into hero gear is going to be really, really important. Tier token changes. So basically with the tier tokens, if you weren't already aware, they're all done by armor type now. So we have plate, mail, leather, cloth. They all have their fancy names. So Dream Rift is going to be Aln Forged, and Void Spire is going to be Void Forged, So very fun stuff. The third raid, March on Quel'Danas, I'm pretty sure it's called, drops the Omni token, which is obviously just the universal token, so, yay. Consumable overview, so this is just some of the minor changes that have happened to like the enchants and the procs and the food and all that. Primary, secondary, tertiary enchants, you got all your standard stuff. New crit damage ring enchant, which is going to be fun. New embellishments, doubling the strength of special jewel crafting rings. Okay, so that could be good as well. Stones and procs. So sharpening stones are coming back, which is awesome. I know Manamar is going to be very happy about that. And there's a new Enchanting Arcane Proc Stone as well, so we'll see how good that is. With food, we also get stamina from all food now. It's just not like main stat or like secondary stats. It's going to be stamina buff and then, main stat or secondary stat. So that's the change there. Vault efficiency. So with this, just keep in mind this 3 out of 6 and 4 out of 6 up here is just based on some old data. Okay, not sure how well you guys can see this. Maybe I need to zoom in a little bit. Before it was like you could go up to plus 18 for the rewards in your vaults. That's not the case anymore. They have scaled it back down, so it's just plus 10 like it normally is now. Always a chance they do re-release that in the future. Not too sure what's happening with it, but right now, all it is 1 out of 6 myth track from the vault. Okay. Exact same as this tier, we want to be maximizing the gear that we get out of the vault because it just saves so much on the crests. Alright, so exactly the same as pretty much since Dragonflight, I'm pretty sure. Just doing the exact same thing we've always done. Is that the right tier? Yes, it is. Alright. So, pre-season, this is basically week 1 and 2 of launch. Obviously, if the Mythic Zeros are going to come out, Lariel thinks they're going to come out in a week and stay releases, but if they do come out, then obviously we're going to be smashing out the World Tours. The renown levels for that champion gear, the Singularity, we need to get to rank 7. Haradi, we need to get to 8. Silver Moon and Amani, we need to get to rank 9. And then if it is available, we can push up our delves to maybe tier 8. Now, I think it's probably just going to be tier 3. Not too sure. We'll see what happens. With everything that we do in the first 2 weeks as well, we do not want to spend any crest. We basically want to hold on to absolutely everything. And the reason that we do that is maybe we pick up a higher item level piece just from wherever. And then, if we've spent crest to upgrade that and we just replace it, then it's just a waste of crests until basically raid day. And we'll go through and then we'll upgrade as much as we can up to the champion level. And the other thing, obviously restored coffer keys, that sort of stuff, just hoard everything. Just save everything until the full release, and then we can go through and expend those resources. Okay. Now, we have the week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 breakdowns here. I'm not going to go through them all, all right, but I will go through week 1 to 3, just because those are the really big weeks. So on the 3rd week of the expansion launch, which is when the season starts, so week 1 of the season, we're going to have LFR open up. We're going to have Mythic Zeros open up. We're going to have our world bosses, and I believe the Nightmare Prey system is also coming there as well. There is a chance that it comes, just within the first 2 weeks, but it's probably going to be here. Delves, the maximum level of delve should open up as well. I'm pretty sure the tier 11s will be open. The PvP quests and all that sort of stuff, will be available too for anyone that wants to go do that. Hey, maybe they have some good gear that we can use early on. Who knows? Crafting, we want to make sure that our crafts are done before we hop into raid. Get our embellishments going, that sort of thing. And as it says here, crest spending, spend all veteran and champion crest, upgrading everything possible because they become worthless the next week when Mythic Plus opens up. And then we have raiding. Just kill the bosses. Easy as. And this is the weird formatting that I was talking about. So the 2nd week of the season, obviously, we're still going to be doing LFR and that sort of stuff if we haven't managed to collect most of the tier set pieces. World bosses, do the prey system, that sort of thing. But week 2 of the season is when Mythic Plus opens up. And then I believe the Mythic raids also open here. Feng can correct me in the chat if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure that is the case though. So spending all your remaining veteran and champion crests in week 2, you want to go through, upgrade your hero gear as well in line with what it's saying here. Mythic items from raids and that sort of stuff. Just follow the sheet basically. With this as well, there is also an add-on that this person has created, kind of like a checklist as well, that we will link to everyone as so that you can actually see the checklist in game. It's pretty good. Week 3. So obviously we're going to have our vaults and our LFR and that sort of stuff. Week 3 is when the last raid wing opens in LFR, and I'm pretty sure March of Quel'Danas also opens at this time as well. So that's the third raid. So we'll be going through and clearing that. Obviously, I'm pretty sure the priority is doing the Dream Rift because there is like a really powerful trinket in there. That's the same one, basically the exact same thing that Lumathar drops. So we're going to be farming that a lot. But yeah, we'll kind of see how we go. We haven't worked out like the exact order that it needs to be done. But yeah, it's hard to say exactly because there's so much that's been changing, right? But we'll come out with like a plan to tackle exactly how we're going to go through these 3 raids, and then we'll release it to you guys. Okay. Obviously, we have the week 4, 5, and 6 here. Now, I'm not going to run too much through this, but this presentation is going to be sent out to you guys as well. Obviously, if I run through it with you guys, just like myself, bit of goldfish brain, I'm not going to remember this. So we could just use this as like a reference when we actually get around to that week to see exactly what we need to do. Week 5, more fun stuff. Week 6, there's nothing like really amazing that happens during these weeks. It's just more of the same. You know, obviously you got your endgame optimization and that sort of stuff. So nothing too crazy going on there. It's basically keep raiding, keep doing Mythic Plus, keep spending your crest, keep maximizing your vault, all the usual stuff that we did this season. All right, so this section that we're getting into now basically goes into like the raid readiness and, you know, that sort of stuff, expectations and what have you. We have had a lot of issues with the raids not starting at the required raid time. Now, we are going to be stricter with this going forward, guys, because we've wasted a lot of time, like, just waiting for people to rock up to raid. If you're not able to rock up to raid at the required time, you need to let us know in advance. You can't just show up 15, 20 minutes late. You're letting the team down and wasting everyone's time. So we're not going to be dealing with that going forward. If that does happen, we're going to grab someone from the bench and then we're going to put you on the bench. Okay? You need to let us know and, you know, just communicate with us. So with the collective time loss as well, let's say one person is 5 minutes late, right? Of course, you know, we're not super tyrannical. It happens. It's fine, right? But just keep in mind that if you are 5 minutes late, then that's 95 universal minutes wasted, okay? Because you have 19 other people waiting 5 minutes for you. Last year, Mana Forge Omega, we probably lost like 2 or 3 nights just due to this sort of stuff and tech delays and add-on issues, tech issues, just all this sort of stuff. So we want to try and minimize this going forward because obviously we only raid like a few nights a week in this guild. We want to make sure that it's like as efficient as we can make it. So with some of the tech stuff, now I'm not the most tech savvy person in the world, and I had some of the guys help me out that are far better at this tech stuff than I am, right? Obviously restarting your client, if you've been playing all day, do a cheeky restart before you log into Raid. Update your add-ons, takes 2 seconds to open up CurseForge and hit update all. We don't want to run into issues halfway through what raid. We should be doing this before the raid starts, not during the raid. Checking your peripherals, making sure that all your gear is working, your mouse, your headset, your keyboard, all that sort of stuff is working before you hop into raid. Make sure it's good. We don't want to wait, you know, 6 or 7 minutes because like a mouse isn't working or something like that. And if you do have a lot of like issues with that sort of stuff, if you can, just have like a cheap backup just like sitting next to you. You know, you can just quickly grab it, plug in and go. Communication standards. So we need you guys to be more vocal. Obviously, less add-ons working for the raid means that you guys need to do more work, and communication is not going to be, you know, like an optional need. Externals, call for externals. If you need help, call for help. Call for missed mechanics. Don't just sit there, like, let's say P2.2, like the second platform in in Dementius. You know what I'm talking about, right? Those orbs that go flying off, right? If someone's dead and, you know, you need to take that orb soak, don't, like, not say anything because it's the exact same thing as wiping the raid. Tell us that, hey, I can't soak the orb because I'm dead. Great, now someone can get on it. Also, if an orb goes flying off the platform because you missed it, then call that and don't just like stay silent and let the raid blow up and let us spend 2 or 3 minutes trying to figure out what happened. Just, call it out. Like, we're not going to be mad. Shit happens all the time, guys. It's fine. Like, I've made plenty of stupid mistakes myself, as you're all very aware. Very, very aware. But, you need to call it out just so we know what's happened and we can move on, okay? If you're confused about something, also speak up about it as well. When we stay quiet, it just causes a lot of issues, unnecessary extensions to the raid and that sort of stuff. It's just adding more pulls when we don't need to be adding pulls. Okay, so just going forward in Midnight, guys, use your voice. Felix should know. Started talking recently. I'm very proud of him. Post reactions are mandatory. Now, this might be a little bit controversial, okay, but when we go through and we do up a raid post, it can take hours of planning and preparation for that post that's going out, okay? Like for Dementius, as an example, people not reading the posts that are going out, and then we only realize that they haven't read it, like an hour and a half into the raid. Reacting to that post to say, hey, I've read this, is going to be mandatory going forward, so we know who understands what we're putting out there. It takes many, many hours for Fang to do up a strategy or, to pull things together. And when, you can't even take the time to just quickly read through that post, it causes a lot of issues. We want to make sure, right, that you've understood what we're putting out there. Now, this isn't going to be like every post. It's only going to be the major ones, okay? We can put a mark on the post to say, hey, this is an important one. Make sure you read it. You know what I mean? But, just make sure that you are reading it. You are putting a little thumbs up, got it, and then no problem. And then we can see who hasn't done that. And then we can reach out to them and basically check in to, make sure that they know what's going on so we're not wasting other people's time. Okay, continuous improvement mindset. Obviously, as you guys are well aware, we don't really say no in this guild, even when it's to the detriment of our health. We pushed through a lot of stuff, and we pushed through Dementius, and it was a real pain, but we did get there in the end, and obviously nothing is changing going forward. Make sure that, you're being honest with us as well about your feelings on things, so share your struggles in your private chat channel. Let us know. You guys have been doing that, which is fantastic. And those chat channels have been blowing up constantly. So really good work there, guys. If you're having issues with stuff, let us know about it, right? If you're having issues with particular mechanics or whatever, put it in the chat. Let us know, and then we can sit through and we can figure out a way to work through it. Okay. And obviously be open to the feedback. All you guys have been fantastic with feedback. I haven't had any issues, and no raid leader, as far as I'm aware, has had any issues when we are providing feedback to you. So double thumbs up there. You're doing fucking fantastic there, guys. So really well done. Going into some of the add-on stuff now. So obviously we have the required add-ons and all that fun stuff. There aren't too many. This is it. Okay, so obviously we still have Method raid tools and Northern Sky raid tools. Now, these aren't really for you guys as raiders. They're more for the raid leaders, okay? They provide a lot of utility that just speeds stuff up. So, you don't really have to stress too much about that. There isn't allocations or anything that are happening with these. But it just helps out the raid leaders a lot. So definitely get these two. They are mandatory, by the way. So when I say get them, get them. Big wigs or DBM, anyone that you want is fine. They both do the same thing. It's really no stress there. That also provides a little bit of utility as well for the raid leaders and some additional quality of life stuff for raid. They still have some decent functionality to them. And then, of course, we have RC Loot Council, which is really the big one. No weak auras, that's right. Because weak auras are dead. Rest in peace, weak auras. RC Loot Council, obviously, if you don't have RC Loot Council, you're not getting any loot. So make sure that you have RC Loot Council. I know all you guys still have it, but nothing's changing there, okay? A quick FPS optimization command. So I've tried this. My system's a bit of a beast, just a little bit of a flex, you know, but I did notice a slight improvement when I used it, so this could be good for you guys as well. You just run this command in game, and then you should just, you know, get a little bit of an FPS boost. So thumbs up for that. UI responsibility and RAID frames. So obviously your UI is your responsibility. Now I have put a video out just for you guys about setting up a UI. At the end of this as well, DAP is also going to be running through some healer stuff for like healing frames specifically that you can use in conjunction with the video that I put out. So if you are stuck, feel free to, you know, reach out and ask as well. We do have that new channel that I created, the Adventurers Showcase. Feel free to pop it in there, pop it in general chat. If you just have any questions, just throw it out there somewhere. Someone will get back to you, okay? Make sure that obviously your debuffs are visible, you have clear boss timers, you're tracking your defensives, readable raid frames, and don't have like an insane UI that's just got like a million things on it. Like, it's fine, you know. UI is a very personal thing. We get that, but we've seen some insane UIs in the past, and we're not gonna really accept those anymore. If it's just like an absolute mess, we'll tell you to clean it up, basically, looking at you, Moon. Also, for healer stuff, obviously we have Grid 2, Danders. Cell is currently not ready for Midnight. I don't know if it's going to be ready for Midnight, but yeah, you just keep up with the updates on that if you do want to use Cell. Okay, cooldown tracking and nameplates. So, a couple of recommendations here. With the required add-ons, and by like mandatory add-ons, it was just the 4 that I mentioned previously, guys. Everything after this is not like mandatory, but, you know, obviously recommended. Cooldown tracking and nameplates. So you have the better cooldown manager or the enhanced cooldown manager. I personally like Arc UI. It's very good. I don't know why I didn't put that in here, but sure. So you can use either of those. They do like they're very good because you can basically set a, let's say you have a buff that pops up temporarily that you need to track. You can make it so that it just has like, it goes from invisible to just there when it's active, right? You can make it glow. You can make it do a lot of other stuff. So if you're not using, like, if you are using the cooldown manager and you're just using the base version, I would recommend getting one of these add-ons to just like improve that frame. Like, it's a massive improvement as well. It's not like a small improvement. Nameplates, obviously a lot of people are still using Plater. I don't really like it, and I've had a lot of issues recently with Plater about alleyway errors and that sort of stuff. I've moved off to Platernator personally, but with the nameplates, you can use the standard Blizzard ones if you want. They're totally fine. They're going to get the job done. They're not fantastic, right? Platernator has a lot of customization, very easy to set up as well. Plater still has like a lot of junk attached to it that you're never really going to use. So, you know, you can make up your own mind about what nameplate add-on that you want to use, but I would recommend Platernator. Mythic Plus add-ons. So obviously we have Mythic Dungeon Tools, MDT. This is the one where, say, a tank has a route, they can just paste it in the chat and then it comes up and then you can actually view that route. I would highly recommend this add-on, especially like Mythic Raiders, as we're going to be running a lot of Mythic Plus. It's going to be important, right, to, you know, understand the route that we're doing, basically, or if there's been adjustments or that sort of stuff. Obviously, we want to time these keys, so just having that coordination is a big step up. An add-on called Targeted Spells. All it does is it just, I'm pretty sure this add-on tracks like who is getting casted on. Just like, you know, old nameplates used to do, basically. This just brings back that functionality. So if you can see 3 people, or one person's been lined up by 3 NPCs casting Fireball and they're about to get nuked, you can actually see that now. So that's going to be a good one too. And plus timer, if you don't already have a timer, there's one baked into Khalil's tracker. There should be one baked into LVY as well. Then I would recommend picking that up too, because the Blizzard one kind of sucks. Structure and standards. Fun stuff. So, minimum expectations. This is all like very standard stuff as well, guys. You know, obviously you need your minimum item level requirements. You need to have your enchants and your gems, and you need to be ready to, to go into the raid at like an appropriate level. You're not coming in with like champion level gear if we're mythic raiding. If you're like full champion, you obviously haven't put in the work. We're just going to chuck you on the bench, tell you to fix it up. We'll give you a week or two to fix it up. And if you don't fix it up, then, better luck next time, basically. Attendance. So with attendance, obviously we are having an increased roster size. This isn't in the presentation, but we are increasing the roster size up to about 25 to 26 per team. That may reduce over the course of the expansion. Obviously, there's a little bit of buffer there, right? Because people just naturally go over the course of the expansion. So that's going to help with that as well. But we still expect, 90, 95% attendance. Obviously, for main tanks, it's a bit of a different story because we can't always need you. But again, we're not going to be tyrannical with that. We understand life happens. It's fine. It's fine if you do need to call out last minute because something has happened. That is okay. You just need to let us know. The problem is if you don't let us know, right? Obviously, family emergencies, stuff like that, people that usually do let us know and they just don't show up, we assume something bad's happened, so you're fine there, right? But yeah, just communication, guys. It's so important. Just helping us manage the roster. It takes a lot of work to manage the roster, and just keeping us in the loop makes it so much easier. Performance. So obviously there are going to be like minimum performance requirements and that sort of stuff as well. Just exactly the same as this season, guys. If you are struggling, we will reach out, provide feedback, that sort of stuff, help you get up to where you need to be. It's not like, if you're not performing, you just go on. Obviously, we've never been like that. We never will be like that. But, make sure that you're putting in the work. We don't want to have a conversation with you because you haven't researched how your class works. You have to make sure that you're putting in the effort, okay? That's what it all boils down to in the end, is just the amount of effort that you put in. Knowing when to vibe versus knowing when to lock in. So obviously, time to vibe, meme, laugh, banter, all that's fine. We don't have any problems with that. I know that there's been, well, let's say, not rumors, right? But people thinking that, we don't like vibing at all. Not the case, right? But you need to understand that when it's time to vibe and when it's time to lock in. If we are standing in front of a boss that we haven't killed, it's time to lock in. If we are doing a boss that, we have on farm, or we don't care, have a laugh, have bants, do whatever you want, just make sure that that boss dies and it's going to be fine. We don't care. Just making sure that we're staying focused during progression though, because obviously we lose a lot of time if people aren't locked in during progression. So just making sure that, you're reading the room. If everyone else is locked in and you want to have a bit of a banter, then that's not the best time to do it. Stay locked in, kill the boss, and, happy days. Now, for something that's a little bit more exciting, Mythic Plus Tournament. So, we did one of these at the start of Season 3, and it was a great hit, and we are bringing it back, and the stakes are going to be much higher this time. I'm going to be inviting other guilds to the tournament, and we're going to try and get as many teams rolling as we possibly can. Now, the details of this tournament, April 11th, mark it in your calendar. The prize is going to be 1 game time token per person on the team. So about 1.5 million gold to the team that wins, roughly. If the cost of the token changes, let's say it goes up to 400k, that doesn't matter. It's 1 token per person. Okay, we're going to have a 10k entry fee per player. Now that, like, only if you're selected, right? Because let's say we have an uneven mix of people and we have 3 DPS too many. Obviously it's a like draw the hat kind of situation. If you get into it or not, you'll only owe that 10k if you're actually selected to go into a team. Okay, so you don't have to worry about that. The signups and more information are going to be coming out probably 3 weeks to 4 weeks before it actually happens. Just a couple things as well. It's still going to be a point-based system like it previously was. Okay, so there's going to be a lot of strategy involved. It's not just going to be the best team, like the best team with like the luckiest RNG and just an amazing like composition just wins by default. Okay, so you know, if you do get into a team and it's not like spectacular, there are still plenty of ways that you can come out ahead because it is point based. Okay. Now, to announce something that's what I think is pretty exciting, we're going to be going over to Fang. And basically, Fang is going to be running through the new strategy channel that we have created. So, Dap, if you want to unprivate the channel now, and I'll just pull this up, and Fang. All right, I should be able to hear you now. I'm pretty sure. Let me just check to make sure. Try speaking, Fang.
Hello.
Okay. Now we need to wait to see if that came through the stream. Did you guys hear Fang's beautiful voice?
Bro, like the stream is so lagged.
It's a little bit lagged. Okay, well it says that you're coming through. So you want to fire up what you want to present. You got him? Cool. All right, it's working, Fang.
Is it? Okay.
Yep.
I need to take out my earbud then because otherwise I'm going to hear myself. Okay. So, hang on. Entire screen. So before I get started, first of all, I have pinged all the Primal Savage and Instinct Raiders. I need you all to very quickly, flashbang by the way, I need to all very quickly fill up your name in this spreadsheet. Make sure your character name is correct. Make sure your class and intended spec are correct, so I can have all the roster graphic profiles ready and made and ready to go for before the week 1 of the raid release. For Primal Raiders, I want you don't have to decide your alt spec now, but I want you to try and use those early access week as you make most of it as possible, because I need these alt specs confirmed so I know what comps to make going into splits. Nailit, you are a Savage Raider. Please put your name in the Savage tab. So please get onto this as soon as you can. Now, let's get into what is the actual best moment is welcome to the new strategies channel. So as a way to isolate information for any boss that is coming in, instead of having them all under the Team Primal Savage and Instinct Raid channels, we have implemented a new strategies channel. You can find this under the rating tab, under the alerts channel. Now here we will have all the discussions, the strategies, and all the frequently asked questions surrounding bosses. If you are confused and you don't know what your stream, by the way, is not, I don't think your stream is showing mine.
It's not showing? It should be.
I don't think it is.
I'm streaming the desktop, so... Wow, Discord isn't coming through. Okay, sorry guys, head to... Why isn't Discord displaying on my Streamlabs? Alright, we've run into technical issues. DebB was correct. Give me a second, guys.
Fantastic. Funny because the stream is like delayed by a whole gaff, so I have no idea whether what's happening is live or not.
No, we're live. It's fine. It's just that Discord isn't actually coming through on Streamlabs at all, even though I'm capturing my whole stream. And that setting isn't working. Do you have this as like a PDF thing?
Me? Unfortunately not.
Is it a PowerPoint?
But I can get that sorted now.
Yeah, just create the PowerPoint and throw it in the chat for everyone.
Okay, that's a bit unfortunate then.
Discord
Download PDF document.
All right, let me turn off stream mode. Okay, there we go.
Did you?
Yep,
Now you can see Discord.
it should be fixed now. All right, we'll just wait for it to come through. No, this is actually great from analytics, so it's fine.
I did all of that. Okay. There it is. Okay. So, I'll say again. So we have a new strategies channel. You can find it under the rating tab in under the hashtag alerts channel. It should be there right now. Here you'll find us all the information you need for when we need to isolate boss strategies, frequently asked questions, or any discussion. This is much better than having it in your team primal, savage, instinct, even the havoc and vengeance chat. If you are struggling to find anything in this huge cluster of this new forum setup that we have done, you can use the tabs at the top to kind of, you know, filter out the things that you don't need. And this way, so we have them separated. If you need bosses from Void Spy, you just click Void Spy and it should filter out everything. I'm just going to turn that off. So with the new strategies channel, here's how they get split up. So this is modeled after the Raid Leader Exchange Discord, where every season they will have these separate channels for every boss. And this allows raid leaders, officers, and the like to kind of discuss strats. It acts as kind of a forum. So we've kind of modeled it after this. So first is we have the discussion, and this is just used for regular boss discussion. So kind of the same discussions you would have in your team chats. Instead, you can now isolate them here regarding the boss. Here, you can just do anything, ask questions, talk strategy, yell nonsense, or share the experiences with 3 mythic teams progging. It's going to end up at a point where all 3 mythic teams are going to be progging a different boss. So this is really helpful for that. And it works as kind of a information chain. If something gets asked too much or gets talked about too much in terms of strategy, we chuck them in the other channels. So that's what frequently asked questions is for. Here is for, you know, that kind of stuff, but it's also things like boss updates, buffs, nerfs, bug fixes. We will put any updates on the boss here. In terms of strategy, how they will be started. So there will be a raid breakdown at the start of each channel that is pinned. And then there will also be a raidplan.io link that will link to the raid plan. And I'm sure you've all seen what these do. Any updates regarding these strats will be posted in the strats channel. No one else can post them except for me or any of the raid leaders. And the reason we modeled this after the Raid Leader Exchange is because it allows me to migrate that information over. I expect every raider to read these thoroughly so they are prepared, and it makes the raid leaders' jobs way easier. Raid breakdown. So as I mentioned before, we have new raid breakdowns. I'll be going boss by boss in a little bit later. But these raid breakdowns are structured in a way that it's kind of like a mini dungeon journal. Important mechanics are highlighted. These are mostly mechanics that are the part of the boss fight structure, colored differently. For any text that is purple, these are mechanics that will be introduced in heroic and above. Any text that is in orange are mechanics that are introduced in mythic. And just like what I said before in the strategies channel, I will make sure to update you guys if anything changes, if they do any random updates. Raid graphics is something that I did for progging Demencius. If there are certain mechanics that require super strict positioning assignments, for example, examples to the right, I will be making custom graphics for these instead of using the raid plan to save you time from having to go find the raidplan.io and having to go find the appropriate slide, especially for this is especially true for multi-phase bosses. And it really does help because for anyone second monitor, for example, the Dimensius soak and pull locations, it certainly helps having this on a second monitor so you know where to stand. Or, for example, the soak positions where everyone is so no one's on top of each other and obviously with correct orientation. So, with that being said, I will be moving on to just doing a quick breakdown of every boss. And we'll start with the Void Spire bosses. We'll go into Dreamrift, and then we'll do the one boss that is available to us. All of these bosses were tested on the PTR. Some were tested, some were not tested, but some were tested a couple additional times. So Imperator version, it's a tic-tac-toe board, 3x3, and if he will try to claim spaces using Shadow's Advance, and if he manages to claim a full column or a full row, and I think even a diagonal, I'm not too sure about that. That is 3 in a row. That is a raid wipe. To counter this, when he uses Shadow's Advance, he'll spawn these Abyssal Void Shaper, these like really big ads. They'll channel a spell, and if they complete the cast, it claims the space for them. To make sure he's not claiming spaces, you get 2 shots at Umbral Collapse. It is a large soak that's on the active tank. There is no soak debuff for this, so everyone should be going into it. And this will instantly kill all the Abyssal Void Shapers because they are immune to other forms of damage. On Mythic, these Void Shapers are immune to Umbral Collapse because they have Cosmic Shell. Now they have stacks of Cosmic Shell, and that is what this Void Marked mechanic that gets introduced in Mythic is. Currently with the latest testing, 6 players are given a dispellable debuff, and you need to dispel this under to remove those stacks. Currently, it takes 2 dispels to get rid of the shell, and you need to do this before Umbral Collapse hits. So you need to do 2 dispels under both Void Shaper shells, to remove them. But you need to dispel all of them because it puts a much harsher dot if it expires on its own. The second slide just covers all the ads that you need to worry about. The Abyssal Void Shaper is there. These are just pictures from the Dungeon Journal. So Voidmaw's little Swarmer ads, Shadow God Stalwarts are these just regular ones, Voidbound Annihilator, and on Mythic it introduces a new one that has a haste reduction buff. You can read all of these breakdowns in detail via the strategies channel, but I'm just going to go through all these in a little bit rapid succession. And then of course the final slide has just the minor mechanics that you don't need to worry about except for that one at the top, which is Imperator's Glory. So you have to keep the boss separated from the void claimed zones, and on Heroic and above you also need to do this for the ads. So keep the boss away from the ads and the void claimed zones, otherwise they get an enrage buff. Now, so you can see how the structure of the breakdown goes. I put the more important mechanics in the front and put the lesser mechanics, as many of them as I could, in the back. So that's why this way you only need to learn about the main ones. We move on to, this is the only breakdown slide we have for him because this is literally the fight. So he'll start the fight with a Primordial Roar. This is a raid-wide damage attack. It will deafen everyone, so it is a silence. He will then follow up with Shadow Claw Slam, and he will impact the ground in front of him. This is a stationary boss, so for the tank, someone needs to be in melee range. And if no one takes his Shadow Claw Slam, it will be a circle on the floor. It will just kill the raid. So one of you needs to stand in that and then produce these epicenters that everyone needs to dodge. So these like donuts that will just grow in size. And then, the first 2, he will spawn these Void Crystal walls. After he does a series of Shadow Claw Slams, he will use Parasitic Expulsion. This is also raid-wide damage, but it also spawns these Blister Creeps that will do damage when they impact the ground, so just dodge the circles. Then they'll fixate players. You kill these Blister Creeps near the wall, because then they will have a charged explosion, and that will destroy the wall. On Mythic, on Heroic and Mythic, it takes more than one Blister Creep explosion to destroy the wall. On Mythic as well, they also leave a puddle on the ground that is a permanent fixture. So you kind of need to manage space there a little bit. And afterwards, after some time, he will use Void Breath, and that's when he sweeps the platform with a laser, going from either left to right or right to left, and you need to stand on the very opposite side that he starts. Otherwise, he will just kill you. And you get 3 rounds of these mechanics. That's why it's called a Patchwork Fight. It has a hard enrage timer, probably around 5 minutes if I had to guess. So you get 3 rounds of these mechanics before he enrages and just lasers everyone. Minor spoiler, but who gives a fuck? This is Solhara, Fallen King Solhara, so Depressed Solhara. Tanks, this is one of your mechanically most important fights. Your goal is basically to tank Solhara around the arena to ensure that these orbs that he spawns don't reach him. Void Convergence is when he spawns the orbs, and when he does, they will make a beeline for Solhara. Now they move rather slow, so you need to kill them. If they reach Solhara, it is an instant raid wipe. On Heroic, these orbs, when you kill them, they will put a stacking dot on everyone. So if you kill them twice in succession, that's 2 stacks of the dot. If you get a second application of it, so say you kill one, the dot goes to 2 seconds, and then you kill the second one, it will reset the dot back up to 8 seconds. So you either have to try and stagger these, or you have to trust your healers to heal through 2 stacks. On Mythic, it becomes a little bit more hectic, because instead of dying, the orb becomes dormant. And they will respawn as a smaller but faster orb the next time he casts Void Convergence. These ones will wipe the raid if they reach Solhara, but these ones can just be killed. They do not have the Dark Radiation debuff when they die, so these ones you just have to AoE them down. Periodically throughout the fight, reaching 100 energy, Solhara has a damage amp phase. This is where you kind of want to make the most of it. And at the end of this damage amp phase, he leaves a puddle on the ground. Now, Fractured Projection would normally be a minor mechanic, but it's actually quite important because they all cast a raid-wide damage AoE spell, and all you need to do against these images, you just need to interrupt them to get rid of them. However, on Mythic, they all have a stack of Nexus Shield. They have varying stacks of Nexus Shield, sorry, and that prevents interrupts. But one Fractured Projection does not have a shield. So you have to actually interrupt them in sequence, because when you interrupt one, a stack of the shield gets removed from the rest. So here are some other small things that you need to worry about. There's a lot of space denial in this fight due to the nature of Despotic Command, which applies a debuff to players, and if you dispel this, they will leave a puddle in the ground. So tanks, the hard thing is that you have to kite him around in a way that there's enough distance between him and the orbs, because he stands still for every mechanic that he casts. So you need to make sure that there's enough distance so that the orbs don't reach the boss. Now, Valgor and Isaac is a double dragon fight. One is on the ground and one is in the air. I'm not entirely sure what this means in the terms of things. Apparently it affects their mechanic cycle, but I have not yet confirmed that. The important thing you need to know about is Twilight Bond. If both dragons are within 15 yards of each other, or if they have a different HP difference of 15% or more, they will enrage and receive a 100% damage boost. I am unsure if this turns off if you delete either of the conditions, but just try not to fulfill any of them. On Heroic and above, the HP difference is a little bit more tight, as it is now an HP difference of more than 10 will cause them to enrage. At their 100 energy state, they will sweep the arena with a breath, and you just have to stand in the middle with Radiant Barrier, where a paladin will give you a shield, and this will remove stacks of a thing called Midnight Manifestation, which is just a dot, and these will periodically be placed on every player. This Midnight Manifestation needs to be killed kill it quick because it still lingers even after the. And then on Mythic, there's this Cosmosis ability, which I have like very little information on because I still have no idea what it means. Basically, it just summons a projection of a player, they cast an ability and then leave and refuse to elaborate. But important things, Valgor and Ezreal have separate mechanics you need to worry about, and both of them are equally important. Valgor's Null Beam, he will target the active tank and is a line breath. Upon finishing it, it puts out a zone that tries to pull you in. You just need to snap this. On Mythic, the very first snap will put out a cascade of circles that everyone needs to dodge. On Heroic, once you've snapped every tether, it will explode and put a dot on everyone. The next one is Dread Breath. This locks onto a player, a single player with a large frontal cone, and this will damage and fear anyone that hits, the fear increasing in length as the difficulty increases. And on Mythic, instead of slowing your speed down, it actually increases your speed. An important thing is don't stand behind the boss that is on the ground, otherwise they're going to whip you with their tail after they cast their tank mechanic. So both tanks need to ensure that both bosses are facing into the arena and not out. For Ezreal, Ezreal has a thing called Gloom. Now, Gloom, he'll project an orb towards the active tank. There'll be a bit of a channel time for this, and when it contacts the wall, it will damage everyone and then put a large space denial zone. But you can reduce the damage and the size of that zone by soaking the orb. On Heroic and above, it will put a soak debuff on you. So the dot, you actually take more damage from, you'll take more damage basically when you soak it again. But on Mythic, when you soak the orb, it actually applies that debuff in a radius. So you need to on Mythic, you want to space everyone out. And then there's a Void Howl, which is just a loose spread mechanic. It will summon these ads that bolt people. And Void Howl would normally happen in conjunction with with Null Beam. So just very, very careful about handling this. This is probably, I expect this bit to be a bit of a wall on Mythic. So this one is probably the one you need to be a bit more prepared for. Council fights. We all love council fights, right? You remember Soul Hunters with 3 Demon Hunters? Well, guess what? Now you got 3 Paladins. Because Blizzard decided they weren't nerfed enough, so they get a boss instead. So at 100 energy, or each Paladin will channel an aura, and then they'll also channel an ability, which I'll get into later, for a certain amount of time, and these buff the other 2 bosses while they are in it. You just have to move the other 2 out of that aura, and then continue killing them. On Heroic, Consecration is left on the ground as well. They will put Consecration on the ground. This is permanent. And on Mythic, you take 100% increased damage whilst in Consecration, and you are pacified while you're in it as well. And on Mythic, they will also have Zealous Spirit. One of them will periodically get buffed, have a damage buff of 30%, and one of their abilities will be empowered. Key things is that Lightblood's Aura of Wrath, he's the Retribution Paladin, increases their holy damage, simple as that. Bellamy is the Prop Paladin, Aura of Devotion, 75% damage reduction. Sens is the Holy Paladin, and she's got Aura of Peace. If you attack either of the 2 bosses in this, you get silenced for 4 seconds. So it's not too much of a detriment, but just be very careful about that. Now, they each have their own set of mechanics, but for the most part, it's actually not as mechanic vomit as you'd think. They're actually quite structured. Execution Sentence is the most important one. So when he casts Aura of Wrath, he'll use Execution Sentence. This is just soak circles. Currently, they are primarily targeted on the healers. I don't know if this has changed, but just be aware of that. And then they will, when they impact, they will spiral out hammers, kind of like Brawnpike in Priory of the Sacred Flame. If he's empowered by Zealous Spirit, he will also channel Divine Toll. And I'll get into that in a bit. Sacred Toll, raid-wide damage. For tanks, for both Bellamy and Lightblood, the only 2 that are actually tankable, like that you can actually force move, they both have a thing called Judgment. And what this does is that it increases the damage you take from their follow-up on Mythic by 500%. So for Lightblood, it's Final Verdict. For Bellamy, it's Shield of the Righteous. They both have this. I don't know what that means for Tank Swap, but apparently it hurts. So good luck. Lightblood, unlike Bellamy and Sen, has Avenging Wrath. He actually does not have Divine Shield. So, yeah, this is just a thing he does. Apparently, he has a tendency to pop it during Lust. So just be aware of that. And then the Heroic, he gets Divine Storm. It's just damage in a radius around him. When empowered by a spirit, it just causes these light vortexes to converge. Bellamy, Divine Toll, as I mentioned before, but Divine Toll is a volley of shields that will damage and silence you when you get hit. Avenger's Shield is just a bit of a spread mechanic that targets everyone. When affected by Spirit of the Mender, so Zealous Spirit, Bellamy will also channel Tear's Wrath while doing Aura of Devotion. So she does both Divine Toll and Tear's Wrath. And she has Divine Shield, and I'll explain why this is a problem in a bit. For Sen, Tear's Wrath, this is a healer problem. As you can see from the picture on the right, during Aura of Peace, she'll put a heal absorb every 3 seconds on the 3 nearest players. The same player can get affected by it more than once. And what happens when she's empowered by the Spirit on Mythic is that you also have the soaks from Execution Sentence to deal with as well. Sacred Shield and Blinding Light. Now, as you can tell by the image on the right, there's an ability that I haven't mentioned that is called Alec Charge. It is part of Sacred Shield, and she'll use Alec Charge to go to a location, and then she'll start casting Blinding Light. There's a raid-wide disorientation that needs to be interrupted, but you need to get rid of that shield first. And on Heroic, she gets access to Searing Radiance, and she'll just pulse for 15 seconds, holy damage. But on Mythic, when empowered, it applies a stacking 10% damage taken debuff to every single player per pulse. And she also has Divine Shield. Now, why is Divine Shield a problem? So, apparently on testing, if you lust right at the start, Sen and Bellamy will both pop Divine Shield, which is an 8-second immunity, and then Lightblood will pop Avenging Wrath. So there's a period of time where you just can't damage the other two. I haven't mentioned it here, but some of their abilities do apply forbearance to them, which stops them from getting affected by Divine Shield and Avenging Wrath. I'm not sure how to deal with that as of right now, but I'll let you guys know in due time. That is the last of the bosses in Voidspire. We're now moving on to Chimeras. This is the one that you guys probably want to study up on the most. This is the one you'll be re-clearing just about every damn week. So Chimeras has a mechanic. His main thing is that he spawns ads, and those ads will try to go to him. There is an upstairs and a downstairs kind of section like Bloodbound Horror. So half the group goes into a different phase. The other half is just in the overworld. And to get into that secondary phase or downstairs, you have to get hit by a soak called Elm Dust Upheaval. This is on the active tank. And then Rift Emergence will spawn ads. These ads all have a shield, but cannot be attacked by people upstairs. The downstairs people need to get rid of that shield, and then those ads get sent upstairs, and they will make a beeline for the boss. Whenever their shield is removed, they will drop a puddle, and I'll explain this puddle in a bit. But on Mythic, what's important is that players in the upstairs and downstairs cannot be near each other. Otherwise, you damage each other. So phase 2, this is a 2-phase fight, by the way. So in phase 2, he will just breath the platform and just spawn ads. You just simply kill the ad, Ravenous Dive. Otherwise, he consumes the ads. And what this does is it gives him a stacking 100% damage buff, and it heals him for the 200% of the remaining health of those ads. Now, On Dust Essence. On Dust Essence is a puddle. On normal, you don't have to worry about these too much. It's just a bit of space denial, because at the end of phase 2, Chimeras will clear the entire platform of these. On Heroic and above, he won't do this anymore. Instead, to clear the puddles, you need on heroic, and the bottom is this large blue circle. If you get so much as a pixel of a puddle in that circle, you will clear it. So you just need to clear that debuff on top of it. These are the ads on Mythic during the upstairs and downstairs sections. 2 players or a couple of players will be affected by Rift Madness. Now, this is like a gravity circle. This is like gravities on Dimensius. So 2 players will become horrified in a 5-second arming time. And what will happen is that they'll just get a stacking dot. What will happen is that they'll just get a stacking dot while they're flying. 2 players from the upstairs need to actually go stand under them and pull them down. And what you do there is you swap places with them. So they become upstairs people, you become a downstairs person. That's the way it works. But overall, the fight isn't too difficult to understand. It's pretty basic. All things can spawn ads, take soak, kill ads again. Simple as that. On Mythic, during this phase, the groups will be split again because ads spawn in both the overworld and underworld, so there can be a bit of a comp and DPS issue there. So this is Beleren. So this is the first boss in March on Quildanos. It was available for testing, so we thought we might as well go through it anyway, even if we are waiting like 5 weeks before we can actually do it. It's 2 phases. It's a phoenix. So the way it works is Beleren, the bird itself, will have its own health bar, and then when you kill that bird, it will spawn as an egg, and then you just need to kill the egg. The egg is the boss's actual health bar. The egg is boss's actual health bar, so when that reaches 0, that's the fight ending. The most important thing you need to know is Void-like Convergence. So at the start of every mechanic cycle, Beleren will apply a light feather or a void feather to you, and this will color your character either yellow or purple, and this means you take 50% less damage from the corresponding mechanic. From damage from mechanics that correspond to your color. So if you have a light feather on you, you take 50% less holy damage, so yellow mechanics. If you have a void feather, you take 50% less shadow damage, so any purple mechanic. This is very important because that's how it interacts with the rest of the mechanics in the fight. So there's ads that will spawn with a soak circle that need to be killed. There's a wall that players need to soak orbs to open up gaps. On Mythic, if any of these orbs contact the boss, they will damage. It will explode and dealing either holy or shadow damage depending on what orb hits the boss to the entire raid. So you could just lose half the raid like that. For tanks, he does a combo of frontals, and you need to stand in this. You cannot move out of it. I don't know if it's target locked. From what I understand, it is a locked forward frontal, so you have to move in it voluntarily. And you have to take the damage, otherwise he gets a stacking damage buff. And on Heroic, there are these quills that will pretty much one-shot anyone. So players of the same color need to intercept it. But that is all that is from me. These are all the boss mechanics. These are in the strategies channel if you need a bit more of a calmer breakdown just to read them. The images on the right are kind of visual, are there for a visual sense, so you can see what the mechanic looks like. Yeah, please read through these. Make sure you study up so you can go into raid straight prepared and there will be no trouble with prog at all. That is all from me. I don't know who I'm transitioning to.
That's all good. Thank you very much for that, Fang. This was a lot of work, so make sure to say thank you to Fang, guys, because it was a monumental thing to put together, as you can see. Lots and lots and lots of work went into this, but now Dev wants to have a quick chat as well. You hear Dev?
Yep.
Yep. All right. Take it away.
Yep. All right. Yeah, just a quick one from me, guys. Going into the next season, we will be selling carries, both in Raid and Mythic Plus. So if you check out the Guild Updates tab, we've got the Guild Sales Policy. So all Raid teams that are the tier, things like Chimeras, bosses that once we've finished getting all of our gear and have on farm, will be selling carries out. We missed out on a big opportunity last season by not selling Lumathar carries. For context, they were going for about 6 mil a kill at one point early in the season when we had 2 teams that had it on farm. So it'll be standard, just as we do the BOE splits, with an 80-20 split, 20% to the guild and 80% to the raiders that are involved. So we will be doing that. I am looking for a few people who are willing to advertise. So all of our sales will be done basically through trade chat, advertising, things like that. Anyone who wants to advertise, come and see me. Advertisers who lock in a sale will be getting of the profits. So if that's something you're interested in, let me know. Looking for more people because obviously the more word we can get out, the more that we can lock in. And yeah, it just helps to support the guild. It'll help to support the raiders as well. And that's pretty much it for me, guys. So yeah, if you're interested, hit me up. More detail.
Yep, too easy. So if you guys want to make gold, hit that B up and help us bolster the guild bank. Basically, I want enough gold in there so that when I go and ninja loot a few mil, no one really notices. Okay, so that's really the end goal here, guys. So just try and work towards that.
There's and just
Yeah.
one more thing for context, like with just the 3 mythic raid teams on guild repairs for those 2 raid nights, 3 teams, it costs the guild bank about 400k a week just for that, without repairs during the week and stuff like that. So it really does help to have that constant revenue stream, and that's why we're looking at doing this, because we need to really be onto that. So yeah.
Yes. Thank you very much for that, Dev. These guys are expensive because you die a lot. So I'm just kidding. Love you all. Anyway, now Dap is going to be coming in to basically do a bit of a healer breakdown. For the most part, guys, if you're not really interested in a healer UI, or if you don't have any questions about it, then that's basically it. So you can head off now if you're not interested in the healer UI. But thank you guys very much for sticking around. Couple things. Obviously, there was a lot of ands or ifs, or maybe this happens or maybe that doesn't happen. We don't know until launch actually lands for like the first 2 weeks, but we will keep you posted. Okay, if Mythic Zeros are available, then we will do our best to organize specific class stacks. I'll make channels for cloth, leather, plate, mail, all that stuff. Okay, so if you want to try and find like an armor stack, then by all means, feel free to use that channel. I'll set that up pretty quick. Pretty soon, sorry. Now, of course, don't forget to subscribe to me if you haven't. If you haven't subscribed to me already, how dare you? But yeah, that's basically it, guys. So Dap, hop in the chat so you can actually present. Is that
Drag
me?
him down there. He's up there.
Can you drag him down? Dap, hello.
Yo.
All right, feel free to do the thing, man. These guys can look at White Mane while that's getting set up. You're welcome. Let me know when you're ready. Oh, I heard the noise. Oh, the pixels.
Okay, we good? Are we good?
Yeah. Just a quick thing. If you move around too much, it's very pixelated, by the way. So.
I'm just going to a quiet location.
Okay, cool. This is MacBook Gaming, everyone. All right.
Okay, so this is really only for, I know like healer UI add-ons, click casting macros is all customizable, but there are some things that like are required for mythic rating. So if you aren't sure about your healer setup, just let me know and I can help you set yours up. Okay, so right now I'm using, hang on, I'm getting feedback. So I'm just using like Dandruff. I wouldn't recommend Healbot. There's only like with the add-on Purge and Weak Aura Purge, there's only a few healer frame add-ons that work. I like Dandruff frames the most. You can also use Click, I think still, and Cell and Grid or something like that, but don't use Healbot. I used to use Healbot. It's just not good anymore. Dandruff frames does everything better. So when you're raid healing, this is how I do my setup. I just have them here under my feet. So this way I don't have to look far away from where my character is to know where the mechanics are happening. I can still have view of everything like that. So if you want Dandruff frames, I can import the string to you, just like message me on Discord or something. It's all fully customizable. The now important thing for healer frames that I've experienced is it can like drop your FPS while mythic rating. So you need to like find out ways that you can help your FPS improve and the CPU usage because it does a lot of tracking, especially with health. So the main thing I would recommend is turning off heal prediction. So if you have, I'm sure all the add-on frames have it, but just turn that off. It's not really necessary. I mean, you should kind of get used to the feel of how much healing you're doing. Obviously, tanks have a bigger health bar, but usually that comes down to feel and everything. But the main thing for Dandruff frame is it tracks all the necessary stuff. So like it tracks, so say if you're a druid, it will track your hots and everything. It also has click casting features and stuff like that. With the hots and the private auras, not the private auras, sorry, the buffs. Try to limit how many buffs that show up on the frames because that can also drop your FPS and stuff. It really now that's it all comes down to what system you're using as well. So maybe you can have heaps, and how many buffs you have. So here, so show auras here. So like this is really good because it's really easy to customize. So you can test it and then go through everything and see what it looks like as you're editing it. So I really do recommend Dandruff frames. So here I've got max buffs at 5. Now I'm a holy priest. I only really need to check Prayer of Mending, see who's got stacks of that, just so I'm not like triple stacking it or whatever because it bounces around all the place. So I'm going to put this down to 2. But I can have it as 1 and it'll only track Prayer of Mending. I'm not sure if you can prioritize what spells there is. I know they're still making updates to it, but like that's other stuff you can do to help with FPS because it will drop your FPS in mythic rating. Now click casting, it's really important. I don't recommend keybinds. I've tried keybinds with Dandruff frames, and sometimes it's a bit slow. Click casting is very fast, and the response time is super fast. So it's just in the binds option here. The other healing add-ons if you prefer as well, but I don't think it's as good. So you can fully customize this. It's better if you have a mouse with more buttons, so you can have more mouse keybinds. But I don't have many at the moment. I'm still currently like getting a feel for it. And also macros. So it's very important since in midnight, obviously there's no weak auras and it's really hard to track things now. So macros become super important. So it's really important that you research your class for specific bosses, what macros might help you, and stuff like that. You know, if you have like an ability like Angelic Feather, when you have to, it's an area effect thing. Holy Word Sanctify, that's an area effect. I just have it macroed, so it just instantly casts where my cursor is. That stuff is really helpful and takes away some time. Instead of like clicking it and then clicking where you want it to be, it just saves a bit of time there, which is really important when you're healing. Another thing I wanted to talk about was the cooldown manager. The default one is good. I'm not like, there are add-ons like better cooldown manager and stuff that you can play around with, but I don't mind the default one. And like I said before, it's up to you how you play best. I'm not trying to tell you how to heal. This is just for those people that really have no idea. So things like Prayer of Mending, it has 2 charges, right? So I have it set up in the cooldown manager that it alerts me with a sound when a charge is available. So I don't know if you can hear it, but when a charge comes up, it'll like do an air horn. You can set like on each ability sound alerts for some of your spells. I really would recommend doing that because when you're healing, there's a lot to track. Like you're looking at raid frames, you're also looking at where your feet are. So that just reduces the amount of brain you have to use when you're raiding. But that's pretty much all I had to say. Really, if you do want more information or you want more help with setting up your frames, please just message me. But that's all I really have to say today. Yeah, the main thing is just do your freaking research, please. I don't want to do it for you. Cool.
Okay. All right. Beautiful.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Sorry, I didn't mean to end grumpy.
That's okay. Thank you, Dap, for the quick rundown. Obviously, there's a lot more information out there, guys. So yeah, as Dap said, do your research and it will be fine. Now, that's basically everything. I don't have anything else. We're finishing pretty much on time as well, which is great. I'm just gonna stop streaming you, Dap. There we go. Get back to White Main. Perfect. So yeah, thank you very much for tuning in, guys. I'm sorry that it was a little bit, it might have felt a little bit rushed. Unfortunately, as mentioned, they were very recent, like probably last day or two. So yeah, more information to come, but that's it. Make sure to give me a like and a subscribe, but that's everything that I have. So I will see you all on Friday, ready for launch. I want pictures of the food that you have prepared in Discord. I want to see the buckets in the corner. Everything like that. Okay. So yeah. All right.